What's good, everybody? What's good? Happy Saturday. I hope you guys had a happy 4th of July. I know I did. Very, very good day with the family. Weather was perfect. Hot, but perfect. I'll take hot and sunny over gloomy and rainy any day. Nevada, what is up, brother? How was your 4th, man?
It was great times, and like you said, great weather. Got to see some fireworks, and I like Fourth of July. I was an Air Force brat growing up, so Fourth of July on the Air Force base was always like a big, like you always had like softball, like the base softball team and the base baseball team, and just but in the military, Fourth of July is a big deal. You know what I'm saying, like that. So the military really knows to get after it on that stuff. They know how to honor stuff. And Fourth of July was always a really, I mean, it's always a big holiday for everybody, but when you're military, man, Fourth of July is even bigger. And so yeah, I had a good day yesterday. Really fun day for sure.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. I know it's crazy. Like the celebrations, the fireworks, all the festivities. I can't even imagine how that is. And yeah, I was very happy yesterday. I got to host my family at my home, with the kids, all the nieces and nephews and kids, and run around playing in the water. And to me, as a uncle, Uncle B, what I'm saying? I'm sitting back with the proud Uncle B smile, and what I'm saying, enjoying all of it. It was really, really nice, man. So I'm tired. I'm worn out. Uncle B is tired, but it was worth it. But talk about fireworks, more fireworks on the recruiting trail for Ohio State. I'm very, very, very excited about this pickup. We're going to talk about Jamir JJ Perez, as we like to say, popping for Ohio State. What was it? It was yesterday. It was yesterday early, which was great on the 4th of July. And Nevada, I got a lot to say, and we're going to throw his film up in a moment, but I want you to jump in first, man, and tell me what you think about this pickup with JJ Perez from Cleveland Glenville High School.
Well, it's funny when he first committed to Florida. I said the commitment's not going to stick. It's not going to stick.
You said that, yep.
I did. I'm like, this is not going to stick. He'll end up a Buckeye. He just got excited in terms of doing this because the Glenville kids kind of fall into two buckets for me. And, there's a group of Glenville kids that just want to get out of Ohio and just kind of want to go do their own thing. That goes for some Ohio kids as well, not just Glenville kids, but they want to kind of break their own path, kind of go their own way, do their own thing. Um, but JJ didn't seem like that kind of kid. He seemed like a kid that got excited on the Florida thing. But what I love about JJ Perez, and from talking to people around the Glenville program, is you're talking about a kid that obviously, you know, uh, he hasn't had the best nutrition program. He hasn't had the best strength and conditioning program. And despite that, he tests really well. His cardio endurance is actually pretty good for a big guy. And they're like, look, wait till he gets under Coach Mick, who is the best
Yes.
in the world at developing, guys like this, taking these molded pieces of raw clay and turning it into something special. Um, I think he's going to be tremendous at Ohio State. I mean, I really do. I think Glenville kids can generally be boom or bust, high upside. We've seen, so many Glenville kids have gone on to be just great Buckeyes and great college football players, great NFL football players. But I think a kid like this, where it's strictly about physical development, is the only thing that's keeping him from being great. Man, I'll take my chances on that all day, every day, twice on Tuesdays, because Ohio State has the best nutrition program, the best strength and conditioning program, the best strength and conditioning coordinator in the world. And I think JJ Perez is really going to feast under a system where he's got discipline, he's got accountability, he's got other like-minded people around him that are all, all the negative distractions in his life are going to be taken away, and he's going to be on the path being an Ohio State football player. I think he's going to be tremendous at Ohio State. I'm super excited about him.
Yes, well said. And so am I. And just real quick, Nevada, I want to because we kind of assume because we're in the trenches and we do this every day and we know these things that we just know that everybody knows about, the context or behind the scenes and specifically, I mean, Glenville High School. I remember when I first started, getting into recruiting, I had to get put onto game as far as, some of the things that the recruiting people already knew. And so for those who don't know, Cleveland Glenville High School, I would say Nevada, I don't know if you agree with this, is hands down our best pipeline since we've been alive. Would you say that's true?
I think you could make an argument from being the best pipeline of any high school to any particular college in the country. I mean, it's as good as any, for sure. And for Ohio State, it's certainly been number one. And Ted Ginn Sr. being there, and just leading just a long line of All-Americans. Ohio State, yeah, definitely number one in my book. That's for sure.
Yeah, agreed. And just real quick, some famous names: Troy Smith, Heisman Trophy winner. Troy Smith. Troy Smith. Let me slow down. Troy Smith, Cardell Jones. I'm sure y'all know that name. Teddy Ginn Jr., Marshawn Lattimore, Dante Whitner, Bryant Browning, Marcus Hall, Christian Bryant, Jermel Hines. Those are just some of my favorite. There's many more. Your Ray Smalls and there's more. But those are some of my favorite Buckeyes that come from Cleveland Glenville. So I say that to say, for those who didn't know that, who weren't really aware, but also it was Nevada. I'll tell you when he committed to Florida. Now, I was on with the Buckeye boys, and we said the same thing. I mean, Dev, he loves Perez. Absolutely loves him. He was a little bummed. But after stepping back, we knew this ain't going to stick. Like, what are you doing, JJ? It was one of the things, like, we give him the side eye, like, man, what are you doing right now? Come on, dog. You know you a Buckeye. What are we doing? And so it was just a matter of time. But he's 350 pounds. You look at his film. It's running right now. There's a lot of get off me, little boy type of plays on here. But I want to highlight one specific play that really, really, really just impressed me. And I'm going to go to that in a minute. I got to get back to it. But it's basically he's not just bull rushing and using his power, but he's reading. He's holding up at the line of scrimmage, keeping the O-line at bay. And then he reads the ball carrier and takes him down. And I'm going to find a play in a moment, and I want you to jump back in. But that right there, this shows you the ability. And I know the knock on him, Nevada, the knock from what I've seen is that he relies too much on his raw power and strength and needs to tap more into his toolkit. You know what I'm saying? His ability to get past blockers without just using his power. Now, obviously, that's where Larry Johnson comes into play. And by the way, I purposely used the Larry Johnson thumbnail for you Larry Johnson haters. You see in the picture, he's just kind of smiling at you like, for this pickup. But Nevada, as I kind of pull this back up, tell me what you think about that, man. Everything I said about his ability and also the Cleveland Glenville pipeline as far as how we're going to continue to dominate and eat from kids from Glenville specifically, based off history and also just development.
Well, look, let's take a step back and kind of go, what's been the biggest complaint from Ohio State fans in this off? I mean, what's the mantra of the Ohio State fans this offseason? Is defensive line recruiting. Okay.
Yes.
And then specifically it's been the lack of bigs, the lack of defensive tackle. Who are the backup defensive tackles going to be on the Ohio State Buckeyes going forward?
Right.
And so, and I always laugh about it because I mean the reality is recruiting in general, not all the time, but in general, is a local business. Kids generally stay within their region, stay within their homes. I think that's even more pronounced for the bigs. I think the bigs are generally big babies that like to be around their moms and stuff like that. And I mean, again, with notable exceptions, but like they like to stay close to home. Nothing wrong with that. I like to stay close to home. They like to do it. So I think, what the problem, or not the problem, the challenge for Ohio State has been that the big guys like that, the big bellied interior defensive linemen, are predominantly in this deep South, or they're Pacific Islanders out on the West Coast. I mean, that's where the big people are. So when you
Yeah.
got a big person like this, like JJ Perez, and he happens to be here in Cleveland, and then he happens to be at Glenville High School, well, I mean, come on, sign me up for more of that. And no, I just think the Glenville kids, nothing comes easy to the Glenville kids. They do it the hard way. They've just got a long history. You've just gone through just a long list of guys that have come through there, excelled at Ohio State, gone on to the NFL, made a bunch. I mean, I love the lineage. I love betting on. It's like racehorses where you bet on the bloodlines. I love betting on the bloodlines of a Glenville kid because they've got great culture up there with Ted Ginn, and a kid like JJ, where you know that he's been able to. This is the story of every big in the country. Every high school big guy relies too much on his strength, relies too much on being,
Right.
pushing around little kids, playing around inferior competition, whatever it might be. But Ted Senior, he's seen them all. He's vouching for this kid. He went to bat for him in terms of saying, "Look, this is a guy you got to get." I have no doubt that Larry Johnson, the defensive staff, will get the best of him. And as I said earlier, I have absolutely no doubt that Coach Mick and the strength and conditioning, staff are going to get him into game shape where he can be a constant and consistent performer and contributor to Ohio State. So no, everything about this one is beautiful, and the fact that it's the position where we have the fewest type of guys like this. This
Right.
is if you look at running backs or wide receivers or tight end. I mean, you can go to every position and go, well, we got some of those guys in Ohio, but these big defensive linemen, we don't have a ton of them. And I think he's the best one in the state this year for sure. Coming from Glenville, super excited to have him, and I think he's going to be great. I say get excited about every recruit, but there's certain guys I'd put money on him being really really special and being a contributor because I know where he comes from and I know how much they think of him, and I think he's going to be terrific here.
Yep. I think the way you ended that by saying you know where he comes from, and that's just the other emphasis about the Glenville pipeline is because a lot of our, fans and like they want Ohio kids. I want Ohio kids. Now, obviously, there's a balance between how Ohio State recruits nationally, which is never going to change, but you want to get the best of Ohio. These are those trench guys in Ohio that help us win titles. This guy right here. And this is why we always preach to y'all. You cannot go off of recruiting services and stargaze. Okay. The staff has their own evaluation. I remember Nevada when Kaden McDonald committed and Georgia didn't offer him. And, there just wasn't much excitement. It was like, okay, cool. Not super highly rated. Georgia didn't offer. Now he's a fan favorite. Now he's a dog. Oh, he's a dog. He's a beast. Well, he was a beast when we got him. And you know what I'm saying? So it's like, and I'm saying that because you look at social media and it's just like up 3-star. I'm like, dude, okay. you can stargaze all you want. And I'll just say this. Yes, rankings matter to an extent. We're going to go after the 5 stars and 4 stars, but we have a track record of developing players of all-star ranking. So if any staff, there's a few staffs in the country that can get the benefit of the doubt of saying, hey, that 3-star is better than we think. And The Ohio State University is one of those staffs, period. So I just wanted to say that real quick. And then if you have something to say to that, cool. If not, I was going to show this one clip. I wanted to highlight this part of this film.
I want you to definitely highlight the film, but I couldn't agree more about Caden McDonald. I mean, Caden McDonald. Here, I'm going to do my impression of the Ohio State fan base when Kaden McDonald committed. Okay, it was like yawn, just like yawn. Like nobody cared. Nobody cared. I
Right.
remember it wasn't 20 years ago. I remember it was yesterday, man. He committed to me. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, well,
Exactly.
underachiever. Georgia's not. They don't want him. Oh, okay, it's Plan B. And man, I'm that guy's going to play 10 years in the NFL and make $150 million. I mean, Kate
Right.
McDonald is a bad man. I mean, he just completely controls the interior defensive line, throws guys around like small children, and is going to be one of the stalwarts for us on the defense. But no, you're 100% right. So yeah, no, the star rankings do matter on a macro level, but you're 100% spot on. When Ohio State goes on guys, man, that generally means they're not in alignment with the rating services, and Ohio State just has better resources than the rating services. They do. Their livelihood depends upon it. They have millions of dollars at their disposal to evaluate these kids in
Yeah.
contact. And a kid like JJ Perez, I mean, he's coming from Glenville. Ted Senior is not going to send somebody who is not Ohio State quality because, first of all, Ted Ginn knows what is Ohio State quality. He knows that, and there's what's the benefit of sending here? If you send somebody to Ohio State and they can't play, that just hurts him. You tell
Right.
that kid go to West Virginia Go to
Yeah.
wherever you're going to go, or whatever it's going to be. But this is a kid that Ted Ginn Sr. is going to bat for. To me, that means a lot. And yeah, and I love his tape. I've watched his tape several times, and love watching him doing his thing.
Yep, I agree. And this is why we're excited. He is a trench dog. He is, put it like this. What we're saying in a nutshell before I go into this is what, and you tell me if you agree with this, Nevada. Just Photoshop 5 stars onto his profile, on his recruiting profile, and just go with that in your mind. That's how we see this kid. Like, to me, he is going to be a starter, dominant, one tech, which is, for those who don't know, it's like more of your nose tackle, your traditional nose tackle lined up over the center, Kaden McDonald type of guy. He's going to be a key cog in the future for this Buckeye team. And to me, I look at Kaden McDonald as a 5-star. To me, Kaden McDonald is in Edric Houston, 2 5-star D tackles. That's how I see both of them. And so again, get your head out of the recruiting rankings, clouds, and understand that this staff deserves to be trusted. And this kid is a monster. And this particular play, like I said, there's a lot of get off me little boy plays in his film. That's just like, oh man, he's taking on double teams. Here's the play right here. Now watch, boom, at the point of attack, boom, and then goes after the ball carrier. So basically, I know that was quick, and I don't have the capabilities quite yet, which I will, to be able to slow down like I want to. But the point is that instead of just bull rushing like he has on other plays or just attacking, which is fine, he actually stopped, held the O lineman up, and read the play and went after the ball carrier and was there first to the ball. That is very impressive for a 350-pound D tackle with athleticism and the ability to understand reading the play and all of that. Like, that really impressed me. Out of all the plays on this film, that was my number one. Nevada, what you think about that?
Well, no, it's a great play, and I just look for the effort. I look, especially with the big guys. I look, how much are you chasing down on the backside in the plays?
Yeah,
How much are you just read and rip and you just stop, or you keeping your feet moving? How's the effort in terms of doing it? And look, JJ's a kid who can play on both sides of the ball. He's like I said, he's a massive kid, but he's an easy mover. I mean, he's a kid that moves really well. And he's got light feet for a kid that's 350 pounds. And I think when he gets to Ohio State and he slims down to say 330 or something like that, he's going to be a problem for people.
yeah,
And then when you start combining that with the technique that he's sure to learn from Larry Johnson, the other guys there, yeah, I just I don't think you can have enough big guys on the interior, because I think for Ohio State, it's always going to be an issue for them in terms of finding these types. I've always thought that, with you look at some of the success Ohio State's had in the past, with Tommy Togiai and Haskell Garrett and some of the big Pacific Islanders, that we should work on that. But like I said, when you've got a guy in your backyard in terms of doing it, man, you've got to do everything you can to develop him. You've got to do
yeah,
everything you can to give him a chance to be great. But if he's big and lazy, there's not much you can do. If the kid lacks the basic motor to be able in terms of doing it, um, it's problematic. JJ doesn't lack the motor, and I agree with you. If we just told people we were looking at a random 5-star people tackle on the field, most people would be like, "Wow, that looks like a 5-star to me." But because he's a 3-star, he's getting kind of a little bit of the ho hum treatment on there, but that's okay. At the end of the day, once you set foot on the campus at Ohio State, all the stars don't matter. Mike DeAndrea with the 5-star thing, who it never worked out, or Troy Smith with the 3-star, or AJ Hawkins 3-star. I mean, we could go down the list of guys. I remember James Laurinaitis when he committed.
yeah,
It was kind of a late commit, but I think it was in December. It's a kid out of Minnesota, and you're like, what in the world are we doing? You know what I'm saying? We're taking this no-name kid out of Minnesota, who's whose claim to fame is that his dad was part of the Road Warriors, and yeah. I mean, and he turns out to be a 3-time captain, 3-time All-American, and the leading tackler of all time for the or whatever it was. And I mean,
yeah.
like, come on. So you never know. But yeah, no, JJ's got all the attributes, man. He's got all the attributes, and it certainly has a unique skill set that we need.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm glad you brought that up because I had that in my notes and I had not addressed it. What you mentioned about motor, it's like a kid that big. You can kind of just say, "Hey, I'm going to chill, lay back, and do my job. I'm going to plug the hole. I'm going to be a wall, and that's it." Nah, he's on here. You mentioned chasing down from the backside. His effort is tremendous. If you watch this film, I mean, he does not stop, even when it seems like the play is running away from him. He still keeps pursuing. And in a few of these times, you see the backside kind of chase the play back to him. And guess what? He's right there to take advantage. That effort, that motor, that power, that grittiness. Yeah. Me hook that up with LJ and his toolkit, getting his toolkit together. And of course, Mickey getting him right. Yeah, man, this is a great pickup. And of course, my little thing, I think we agree on this, Nevada. Like, I'm not saying anyone is above being criticized. That's not the point. But I think the LJ hate is just over the top. I mean, this is not good enough for people. This is like, oh, this is what he's supposed to do. Okay, well, yeah, that's fine. You can say that, but the point is, this is what we need. Don't you want what we need? And yes, he's a 3-star on paper, but this is what we need. This kid is a dog. So anyway, that's just my little pet peeve with the LJ haters, man. Because it's like it don't matter what he does. Yeah,
let me
go
ask
ahead,
you a
brother.
question. Have you ever seen any? I've been doing this a long time. I'm an old guy, and I've been doing this a long time. I have never seen such a consistent, persistent attack on an assistant coach as going on with Larry Johnson this offseason. It's like it's weird. It's weird.
Yeah,
Like every day I'll see another article and I'm like, what in the world is going on here, man? Because everybody's just I mean, look, there's only two camps that everybody's just coming to the conclusion. They woke up and they're like, yeah, Larry Johnson's really, the Antichrist. He's really the guy. He's got to go. He's terrible.
right.
He can't coach. Or B, it's some sort of an orchestrated effort to get on him. And I'm leaning towards B, man, because I don't believe in coincidences. I don't believe in just things, but like it's weird because it's just no matter what he does, it's just cast in the worst possible light. And even when something good happens, and heaven forbid somebody goes elsewhere, oh man, it's end of days.
Right.
I mean, the criticism he was getting when JJ Perez went to Florida was crazy. And then JJ Perez goes to Ohio State and he's like, it's not very good anyway. Just like,
Right.
wait a second, you can't have it both ways. So I mean, it's legit odd to me, man, because like I said, because I pay attention to that stuff because I feel like everything in the OSU message board world, everything, it kind of runs on its own life cycle. It's got a certain rhythm to it. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
this just is disproportionate to what's going. It's odd. It's an outlier. Definitely caught my attention, and I just find it so weird that it keeps happening.
Yep, me too. It's clear, and I know you don't do the social media, but I do. I'm in the trenches. I see it, and it's like, to me, there's certain accounts that are dedicated to just going at LJ's neck. And it's like, no matter what he does well, no matter how many championships he wins, how many guys he develops, it's just not good enough. And that's just their shtick. And so it's very, very interesting. But also, I wanted to just kind of point back to what you said many times before, about the 2025 defensive line recruiting class. And people just ignore, he brought up some good guys. I'm looking right now. Zion Grady is a really good prospect. Epi K, Centinelli. Actually, me and the Buckeye boys had the opportunity to interview him. Excellent young man with an excellent family. Really, really good player. Underrated, in my opinion. Then, of course, we brought in Bo Atkinson from the portal, out of that, not in that class, but it's like all of that stuff gets ignored and everything else that's perceived as negative or a failure is highlighted. And you're right, Nevada. I'm preaching to the choir. You, if anybody knows, nobody knows more than you. But I know too, because I've been around. that a commitment, even if it's a big commitment, a high star ranking, still does not get the attention thread wise as missing out on someone who was a big ranking or whatever. Am I correct about that? Is that just like the tell as old as time?
Yeah, it is a tale as old as time. It's, if a guy commits, it'll be 2 pages and, you know, 30 responses. And but heaven forbid you miss, man. It's 7 pages, and how are we ever going to win without, filling the name?
Right.
So yeah, I just get immune to it. I just grow numb to it because I just try to take a step back and kind of look at the big picture, see where we're at. I mean, we're coming off a year where we won the national championship, where all four defensive linemen on our front four were drafted into the NFL. All four.
Yeah.
And I'm supposed to draw the conclusion from that our defensive line coach, our defensive line guru, has lost his fastball, doesn't have it anymore, and can't get the job done. And those two things just do not compute for and while running the number one defense in the country last year. So
Right.
I
Right.
yeah, I just yeah, I just can't get there, and I'm happy to get there. I'm happy to lay a little criticism on somebody, and I've done it plenty of times if I felt that it was merited. But this one, man, I think you are what your record says you are, and I know I said it in a previous show, but I can't remember ever Ohio State having all four guys on the defensive line it drafted in the NFL draft. It might have happened. Maybe it's happened multiple times. I can't remember it, because that's quite an accomplishment for any team to have happen, let alone for the Buckeyes. And the fact that it happened last year, it's like our most recent data point regarding OSU recruiting and development on the defensive line. I mean, what is more relevant than did your guys get drafted into the NFL draft?
Yeah.
I mean, there can't be a more relevant data point. Or maybe did you win the national championship? Well, we did both.
Right.
So I just like I said, just can't get there on the Larry Johnson can't get it done thing. And I guess I'm on the like the leave Michael Jackson alone. I'm on the leave Larry Johnson alone trend right now. So you just have some picture of me crying or something. Leave Larry alone, man. But hey, here's what I can guarantee you. Larry probably like me isn't much. I'm not on social media at all. B knows that. I'm not. I have no social. I shouldn't say no. Very little social media presence at all. I don't read it. I don't pay attention to it or whatever it is. I think Larry probably is in Larry probably didn't spend a lot of time on social media. He doesn't know how to make posts and do all that other stuff like that. So I'm sure he just got his head down, counting his money and counting his national championship rings, and not really worried too much about what people in the social media world are saying.
Yeah. Yeah. And listen, we know Larry Johnson. Everybody knows he's up in age. We know he's going to walk away and all that other stuff. But it just seems like every year, it seems like for the past 10 years, every year he's gone, he's done, he's gone, he's done. And then boom, here he goes again. He's coming off a ring, like Nevada said. And so, and then also, guys, we have to learn to allow guys to develop. Everybody's not a bust because they didn't come out and have a 10 sack season in their first 2 years. And I'm saying that specifically with these guys we just got drafted. Jack Sawyer had a transition. I mean, he didn't come out, scooping Sawyering out the gate. And of course, JT had some really, really flashy, brilliant moments, and other times where it didn't seem like he was, popping that much. But guess what? They put it all together down the stretch when it most mattered. Did they not? That 4-game playoff stretch, epic. And yeah, that's still development, whether you want to call it that or not. And so, yeah, I don't know what LJ has to do, but like you said, I don't think he really cares that much. But it's still, to me, it's annoying to me because it's nonsensical, it's silly, it's whatever. But I'm not gonna keep beating the dead LJ hating horse. But yeah, it's
Yeah,
just
well,
one of my peeves, man.
no, it is. It's kind of annoying, but it's kind of amusing. It kind of makes me chuckle. But no, I agree. I mean, Jack Sawyer could not have been more. I mean, look. JT was the number one player in the country, not the number one defensive player, the number one player
Right.
in the country. And for most of his career, with the exception of that Penn State game in his junior year or sophomore year, where he
Yeah.
had like the one of the greatest defensive games I've ever seen, he was pretty pedestrian. And that's not criticizing the guy. That's just being honest. Him and
Yeah.
JT were under a lot of attack in terms of doing it. And then, look at them. They end up as, they're both going to play in the NFL. They're leaving as national champions. They put it all together when we needed it the most. But yeah, no, everybody develops at a different rate. Some guys come right out of the Caden McDonald came right out of the gate. First time they put him on the field, he's blowing dudes up, and you're like, wow, where did that come from? But other times it takes a little bit of time. But I really have a profound belief in our development system at Ohio State. Yeah, I think that we really do get the most out of players, and it really manifests itself by the fact that you don't see guys leave Ohio State and then go on and be great somewhere else. You're not
Yeah.
seeing a lot. That doesn't happen a lot. So it's not like we're underdeveloping, under recognizing talent or doing stuff like that. I really think we're getting the most out of guys when we can, and that's a tribute to Ryan Day and the entire staff, which I think they do an A+ job of that for sure.
Yep. Amen. I definitely agree. And yeah, I'm still watching. And I don't know if y'all can see I know you can see the film, but are you watching? Watch his penetration. His tool bag is actually not bad. Some of the reviews of, oh well, he needs to sharpen up his tool bag. But like you said, Nevada, that's literally the knock on every big defensive tackle outside of maybe 5% of the elite of the elite. That's their knock. But if you look, I mean, he's using his hands well. I mean, he's ripping. I mean, it's not like he's just like boom. I'm just going to stand here. No, like he's athletic, and he definitely has something to work with. And so I'm just excited. But you mentioned Kaden McDonald again. I wanted to go back to him because I know we're looking at JJ Perez right now and what the future brings, but man, we have his projection on the roster now. Just a side note, Kaden McDonald. If y'all don't know, McDonald was in the trenches in some of these big games. Go look at that goal line stand against Texas. Guess who was in there on key downs? Kaden McDonald was in there. The non-starter, the one who was slept on, in there, just disrupting. If y'all haven't went back and watched those games, I ain't talking about the Scoop and Sawyer play. I'm talking about the games. And just look at the trenches. Kaden McDonald, man. I'm just super stoked in my Will Howard voice about Kaden McDonald, man. And I just think, I guess my overall message, Nevada, as we talk about all of this, is that I think some fans, again, there's a balance. It's okay to be critical or to have some questions or to say, hey, we have a standard. I'm not saying we can't do that, but I think people go too far and just navigate towards the negative and stuff like that, and they completely miss the blessing that we have as a program and the goodness that we have and the positivity and just what we have in general on the roster, like a Kaden McDonald. And one last thing I'll say is that, again, I believe the Jason Moores and the who's the kid from Ole Miss? I just forgot his name, the D tackle.
Malone.
Yes, Malone, that played baseball. And all, yeah. Listen, I haven't given up on those kids. I have not given up on them. I have not written them off. Don't be surprised if they step up and provide quality depth this year. That's all I'm saying. So, yes, you can say, dang, we missed a 5-star and we got a standard. That's cool. But don't be so focused on the perceived negative that you miss out on what we actually have now, what we're building, what we've built already. So, yeah.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned about Caden, just because it's kind of like we talked about in our last show about Lorenzo Styles Jr. was kind of like Forrest Gump, out there on big plays after big plays, and you don't really you're like, wait a second, that's Lorenzo Styles Jr. He's out there and playing.
Right.
Caden McDonald's same way. Like last year's defense was the greatest goal line defense that I've ever seen in my entire life.
Same.
Not just watching Ohio State football. I'm saying watching any level of football. I have never seen a defense hold teams out of the line, out of the end zone more often than they did last year. I think it would be impossible for it to happen. And the guy that was in the middle on all those on the goal line defense was Caden McDonald.
Yep.
So, that's a big freshman that's going in there and just doing stuff, but not only just, just playing, but playing at key moments, playing in big moments, and getting it done. They were just, I mean, think about the games, the Oregon game, the Penn State game, I mean, obviously the Texas. I
Yes.
mean, we just go down a list. I mean, it must have been 8 or 10 times where teams had first and goal and came up with like one field goal out of. I mean, it was crazy. Michigan game where they hold them out of the end. I mean, it's like they did so many good things around the goal line, but man, he was a big part of it. And having guys like that, having those true war daddies on the inside, man, that gives you a lot of flexibility for your team. And you think of it like a Vince Wolf for New England. That's who Matt Patricia just schemed around for years and years and years. Well, you've
Yeah.
got guys like that, in a Kaden McDonald, in a JJ Perez. Those are kind of those guys that you play at that one technique, kind of hold up everything in the middle and get everything done. But yeah, Caden was tremendous. Go back, you said go back and watch him last year. Man, he was on the field a ton, and not a lot of people were talking about it. Not a lot of people were, you talk about the JTs and the Jacks and the Cody Simons and the Caleb Downs, but Caden was the big dude in the middle, just blowing all that stuff up.
Yes, and real quick, if y'all don't want to watch the entire playoff run again, I don't know why you wouldn't, but just watch the fourth quarter or I say just the last drive of the game before the scoop and Sawyer. That you'll get the meat of what we're talking about from that game. But there was one play, and y'all tell me, come back later and tell me if you saw it, where they're at the goal line and they put the camera on Kaden McDonald. He comes in and they show him from a side view and he's smiling. He's doing this and he's clapping before, like, as they're about to line up to snap the ball. I was like, see, that's what I'm talking about. Like, that's a dog mentality. Like, oh, yeah, I'm in the game. I'm about to wreck shop. And guess what he did? He wrecked shop. He was the one who stuffed the play so that JT came around the edge and tackled him for a loss. And so that mentality, to me, I think the Kaden McDonald comp is a good one. I think with Perez, I think that's right on par. And it's not something I kind of premeditated, Nevada. It just kind of came to me as we were doing what we were doing. But I think that's a great comp. And so I'm saying, y'all, be negative if you want. But let me say this, Nevada. I think some people mistake my positivity for just someone who tries to ignore the negative and just be positive, like, oh, I just want to be positive. No, I'm a very logical person. So I have something to be positive about. Like, if I'm positive, it's because I can point to what I have to be positive about. You see what I'm saying? It's a difference between trying to manufacture positivity and act like nothing. No, we got a lot to be happy about, y'all. And that's kind of where that comes from with me. And you hear it coming out. And I'm telling you, y'all, like, y'all can whine about only being the number 6 recruiting class right now in freaking July, and there's months left to go, by the way. Or you can say, I trust this staff. We got a top 10 class. We still got dogs that have not committed yet that are coming, and we currently have a roster full of dogs. That's the mindset that I would encourage you to have. But hey, to each his own.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, I often say that, we're not, sunshine pumpers. We're just weather reporters, man. You look outside, it'd be like you trying to go outside in Columbus right now and saying it's stormy or it's bad weather or something like that. You're like, no, it's 90 degrees and pretty clear, and everything's. I really can't see it. I mean, we're the defending national champions. That's only
Right.
happened 4 times in my lifetime. And like I said, I've been on this planet 6 decades, so it doesn't happen often. And so I'm going to enjoy every time. But when you can do that, and you're the preseason number one for 2025, and you're going to be better in 2026 than you were, I'm failing to find the thing. But hey, look, part of our job on this show is to kind of give you guys the truth. It's not the sunshine pump. It's not to be super negative. We're not the anti home team like some people out there. I mean, that's a whole industry, being the
Right.
anti home team show, or there's some people that are just over the top. Everything's great, nothing's wrong. Everything is awesome, and that's not where we're at. We will tell you the truth. We are not beholden to Ohio State, to the beat, to credentials, to anything else. That we'll give you the straight scoop in terms of what's going on. But it's good. Ohio State's, I really love the way that Ohio State's approaching this new world order of NIL, salary cap, restriction guidelines, and how they're doing it. I think they're being really, really judicious and smart. You see, Texas Tech went out there, that in Felix Ojo and threw $5 million or something like that. I mean, Felix Ojo, there's nothing about Felix Ojo that screams out to me, can't miss off and that. I don't think anybody is a can't miss on the offensive line, but he sure as heck is a can't miss. And
Yeah.
so for them to throw that kind of money, what is that going to do to the rest of their room? What's that going to do to the rest of their roster? Like some high school freshman is coming and getting $5 million. If Ohio State did that, I'm telling you, I'd be furious. I'd be like, you can't do this. It's dumb. It's going to destroy what you have. And Ohio State's avoided making those types of mistakes, and I salute them for it, because I think it's really, really smart.
Yep, I agree. And I know some of our fans will whine because we didn't dump millions of dollars on a unproven, incoming freshman to get a kid and all the other stuff, man. Ryan Day knows what he's doing. These coaches knows what they're doing. The problem is you don't trust the staff. We're not saying they're infallible, and they're not capable of, poor judgment. We're all human. We're flawed, but there's a track record and resume for a reason. And all we're simply saying is look at the track record and resume. And so, and Nevada, just as a side note, before we get to these super chats, for those who don't know, I'm a meme maker. That's like one of my little pleasures. I make memes, like funny memes and just informational memes. And you just gave me an idea for a meme, Nevada, when you said we're not sunshine pumpers, we're weather reporters, right? That's what you said.
Yep.
So that's going to be the caption. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to have probably myself with like a microphone, like a reporter in a sunny day, and then I'm going to have a sad Debbie Downer Buckeye fan next to me, behind me, with an umbrella with just rain only coming down on them, just looking sad and salty, and I'm just smiling like, hey, 95 degrees, here in Columbus High. That's going to be the meme. So look out for that. I'll be posting that soon. But yeah, anyway, you're a genius, sir. Thank you for the content.
Well, hey, like I said, it's just I mean, I know what bad looks like, man. I'm a Green Bay Packers fan, so I lived through years of them being the Bay of Pigs with Tampa Bay, and Cleveland Browns fan, so I know what bad looks like. But Ohio State, nothing bad about this, that's for sure.
Right, exactly. And like Nevada said, if something is not good or not looking good, no matter what it is, we are going to tell you. Some of y'all still getting to know me. I'm going to tell you. I'm not going to act like everything is cool and it's not cool. Okay, so just know that. All right. So anyway, let's get to the super chat. Retired number 75. Thank you for the 1999. Do you think the penalties will be handed down after Big Ten Media Days? I'm guessing they will be handed down before the start of the season. Will be hysterical if they had to answer questions about this in Las Vegas. Interesting. What you think about that, Nevada?
Yeah, I've heard people speculate. I don't know if it'll be before the Big Ten Media Days. I'd say no. I'm going to lean towards no, because this report, if you've ever seen these reports, we talked about how these negotiated resolutions are the way to go. So they rarely go to full hearings, but when they do go to full hearings and they put out their whole decision, I mean, it's going to be 100. I mean, it's going to be like the most incredible legal brief that you've ever read in your life. So that takes time. It takes time. They have to dot I, cross every T, and do that. So I'm going to lean a little bit to the over on that, because it's just so much to unwind. 6 level 1 violations, aggravated factors on top of that, aggravated failure to monitor, or aggravated lack of institutional control. So I think it's gonna take a little bit of time. So I'll lean to the over the Big Ten Media Day.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good point, man. Because some people, they ask, like, what's taking so long? They already got the violations lined up. They already know they're guilty and all that other stuff. I mean, we've said this before. Like, the NCAA, they're not just sitting around twiddling their thumbs. Like, all they have to do is work on Michigan stuff. They got other schools in the NCAA. They just laid the hammer down on Oklahoma State. I mean, they've got other things to do. And so, yeah, that makes a lot of sense because from what we've seen in other documents and just the detail, yeah, I mean, I would agree with Nevada on that. We could be wrong because listen, the president said 30 to 90 days. What's today, the 5th? Tomorrow is the 30-day mark from when he said that. So technically, it's possible it could come this week or something like that. But based on what Nevada's saying, I agree. I think it's more likely on the longer end for that reason. I mean, this is a big case, a lot of moving parts, no negotiated resolution. So I would agree. Maybe because what the Big Ten Media Days is what, the 22nd through the 23rd, I believe. I think it's the third weekend of July. So, and fall camps start maybe I think I'm going to lean towards August, Nevada, maybe early to maybe mid-August. So still before the season, but not July. That's my guess.
Unless they're just giving an apology in a fruit basket. And how long does that take? You can just go on fruit.com or something like that and send a nice thing there to Ward Manuel's house there with like a big pineapple and a bunch of grapes and stuff, those plums, really nice plums, stuff like that. So maybe that's all they're doing.
He said plums. You know what? I'm a big movie scene guy to kind of make a point or reference. I reference a lot of movies. This is what I picture from Michigan fans when they think the NCAA is going to give them a fruit basket and apologize. Y'all remember on Home Alone 2 when they're in Kevin McAllister's hotel room and, he pretends or makes it seem like his dad is in the shower. He's yelling at him and on the recorder. And all the hotel attendants are on their knees, bowing down, saying, "We're sorry." That's how Michigan fans expect the NCAA to cower at their brand. Like we were going to pop y'all, but like Mufasa, like the Michigan brand. Like, go on somewhere, you idiots. Anyway, let's go to the next super chat. All right. Slim Sims Productions, thanks for the $9.99. Hey, what's up, bro? Appreciate you, man. It's a good dude. Follows my Facebook page as well. What's up, B? What's up, Nevada? I'm just here for the hammer to them slime balls up north. He didn't say OH, but I'm gonna say it because it deserves an OH. OH, Nevada?
I-O.
What you got to say about that?
Yeah, no, look, we're all here for the hammer. Like, the Michigan thing has just, it's been a constant. I found it to be one of the most fascinating stories. Maybe it's certainly a top 10 college football story of all time, in my opinion. And how the NCAA deals with this, I think, is just going to be beautiful. And I think the best thing about it is that the Michigan fans have convinced themselves that it's not happening. And I think that's what's going to make it just extra delicious, is watching them all scramble around screaming overreach and nobody ever mentioned this and how in the world could this have ever happened and whatever. But yeah, no, I'm counting down the days. Can't wait for it. But the hammer is coming.
It's definitely coming. And listen, y'all, I told y'all Slim Sims, is on Facebook, follows my Facebook page. I'm in the trenches with these Michigan fans. And so, I post stuff. I post our podcast and I post hammer memes and any updates, the white stuff last week broke, whatever. And they come out the woodwork, Nevada. I mean, just they're angry. They're calling me liars. When are you going to stop lying? What am I lying about exactly? No answer, no response. And I'm saying that their talking points, they have the same talking points. But the NCAA president said, but you can't vacate wins without ineligible play. We've debunked all this stuff, y'all. We've addressed this. We've shown you receipts. Justin Spiro has come on the show and shown you receipts. We've given you numbers and stats and facts and I mean all manner of goodness. And it's just like you can tell, Nevada, that yes, they are convinced. They're behind their blue wall. They're listening to the Chris Ballances and the Sam Webbs and those guys, and they're just eating it up. And we're just like, okay, but Buckeye Scoop, we're the a-holes and we're whatever. Like we've given you nothing but facts from day one. And so it's sad. It's kind of sad, Nevada, like the cognitive dissonance and the total disregard for reality. It's frustrating, but it's also kind of sad, man. A part of me is just like feels sorry for them, but then I go back to reality and say, no, I don't. You're an idiot.
Well,
But
it
anyway,
is weird. It is weird because, like you said, everything we talk about is fact based. We just look at we give stuff that like everyone can look at. Like none of it's our opinion. It's all facts. It's like fact one, fact two, go right down the lane. And then when you ask them stuff, like you said, they respond with the most inane. Or you just made that up. No,
right.
you can look at it. You can look at it. But yeah, no, they do come out. It's like the other day, like I have this dog food at our house, and I had put the dog food in the garage, and I put it out. And there were cockroaches behind it, and it reminded me of the Michigan fans when I pulled that dog food out, and those cockroaches came screwing out there, man. And I took out the raid, and I raided them really good, and that's how I feel about Michigan fans. I feel like they're cockroaches, and they're about to get a big dose of raid from the NCAA going on them. So I'm
Oh,
happy
that
about
is
that.
funny. I thought about those old Raid commercials with the Michigan fans. That might be another meme. I might have to put like a Michigan block M on the roaches as they like scatter in the commercial. But just real quick, I was going to pull up the letter, but I'm not going to do that. But real quick to your point, Nevada, when you said this is fake or you're making this up, let me tell you, brother, and we can end with this. I posted a screenshot of the first letter, the page 1 of the 13-page letter from Tony Petitti, right? And at the beginning, it has it says to the office of Ward Manuel. It like has his email and like an email header is what it looked like, right? And their response when they saw it was like, yeah, this is fake. Why would Ward Manuel's email just be floating around like this? I'm like, are you serious? This is public. You can Google this. This is like, what are we talking about? It's that level of delusion that is just like, y'all just don't want to listen. It doesn't matter how many times we say it. It doesn't matter how many podcasts we do, how many points we make, how many facts we present. You are not going to get it until you get this work, this official NCAA work when it drops. And then, yes, they'll cry overreach. They'll try to act like and spin like we never had this and all the other stuff. Either way, I'm here for it, regardless. But whatever. One day closer to the hammer, but more importantly, one day closer to Buckeye football. And with that, unless you got something else, Nevada, we can go ahead and wrap her up.
Yeah, no, I'm excited about JJ Perez and excited for the next. We got some other booms on the horizon.
Yes, we
So
do.
OSU recruiting fully cooking. So let's go get after it.
Absolutely. Make sure you peep the Buckeye Boys Funky Buck collaboration podcast. And they're going to have some recruits coming for you very, very soon. Some big booms coming. So stay tuned. All right, Scoop fam. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Happy Saturday. And go Bucks.